You know, if you ever feel bad about yourself, just know that I have literally no friends. None. The only person I've seen that wasn't a coworker or my parents in the last month has been my boyfriend. And you know what I did today? I was supposed to be in a Zoom class, and I had a mental breakdown the entire time. I was muted and on, like, so you couldn't see my screen. And eventually I was so, like, I couldn't do it anymore. I had to hang up. And now I work in an hour, and I'm still crying, and I've been crying for 3 hours. Because I have no friends. None! How do you make friends? I don't know how to make friends. Do you know how to make friends? I don't. Anyways, I don't know why I'm posting this, because probably people I know are going to see this, and it's going to be embarrassing. But you know what? It happens.
I know I said I thought today was going to be a bad day, but I was walking to the gas station to buy my gallon of water because it's hot as hell in Texas. And this older lady behind the counter, she was like, "Hey, how you doing today?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just living the dream." She looked at me, she was like, "Damn, baby, you got a sexy voice." I said, "Girl, you better stop. About to get me in trouble." Oh, man. I mean, she wasn't, like, attractive or nothing, but, like, that shit made my day. I'm still smiling. She got a great personality. I mean, terrible taste because, ugh. I mean, she's married, though. I'm gonna ask her on a date. Y'all think she likes me? It's not wrecking a home if it's already broken. No, my mama did better than that. But yeah, no, cat called me. That shit was gas. I love that. I would never do it to a woman because, like, that's very uncomfortable for y'all. But for me, hey, be filthy. Talk nasty to me. I don't even have to know you. I smile cheek to cheek all day. I love that lady.
Put a finger down if your boyfriend wants to go skydiving for his birthday, and like the supportive girlfriend you are, you agree to it and don't complain a single time, even though you have a massive fear of heights and you hate flying, and he knows both of this information. So you guys drive 3.5 hours away to a facility where you can skydive. And when you get there, they make you take this informative class about how when you skydive for the first time, which by the way, both me and him were skydiving for the first time, you have to tandem jump. And tandem jump means that you attach to a professional so that when you jump out of the plane, the professional got you. You don't have to do any work. You literally just go along for the jump, okay? So we sign our lives away on a contract after taking the class. We attach to our professionals, go up in the air, and jump out of the plane at 50,000 feet in the air, which is traumatizing, by the way, but you still do not complain once. After the jump, you guys get in the car, your boyfriend's not talking to you. You're like, hello, what's the problem? Happy birthday. And he's like, I just can't believe you were attached to another man while you were jumping out of the plane.
Okay, quick little story time. So, I'm scrolling through TikTok, right? And I see this fucking five-course meal of a dude, okay? I go on his page, I go on his Instagram, he has his Instagram linked, and I see he's from California, right? I press follow. Never think I would ever see this guy, like, ever. He followed me back. I was like, whatever. And he posted a selfie one time, and bitch, I fucking slid in the motherfucking DMs, bitch. And I literally just put, wow. And he goes, yeah, I know I don't look so great. Like, and I'm like, no, boo. Like, you look amazing. Like, you are a piece of art, boo. And he goes, wow, like, thank you. We ended up talking. He gave me his number. We ended up texting that night. We ended up FaceTiming that night for like 6 hours straight, right? So we got along really well. And now he's asking me to go see him. I live in LA. He lives in San Diego. Bitch, I'm on my way. Shoot your shot, bitches.
So I met this really hot guy while I was walking my dog, right? Our dogs were sniffing ass like dogs do. And we were small talking, and I was like, yeah, like, how's your day going? And he's like, good, just got back from the gym. And I was like, oh, what gym do you go to? He's like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nice, nice. And so, you know, like the stalker I am, trying to find his Instagram, search the gym and like look at, like, you know how you can search locations on Instagram. So I like look up the gym, see if he posted on it, because he looks like one of those gym douchers, and he didn't, but so many other hot guys did. So I was like, oh fuck, like this is like a trend, like lots of hot guys at this gym. Okay, this is saying something, right? So I joined. I joined the gym. So I'm gonna go work out there for the first time like now. So I'm taking you guys. Let's go see what it's about.
Low-key almost got busted taking that last one, but let's just say I'm trying to work out with these boys.
Story time about how I broke up my best friend and his girlfriend. So it was our sophomore year in high school, and my best friend and I had known each other since we were like 8 years old. And I've always had a crush on him. Like, anytime he would get a girlfriend, I would try and break them up. And it would work. Well, our freshman year of high school, he started dating this one girl. Well, when he started dating her, he distanced himself from me because she didn't like how much time we were spending together. So a few months go by and my birthday's coming up. And mind you, within these past few months, we only seen each other like twice. And he had me blocked on all social media. Well, our parents were really good friends because we lived in the same cul-de-sac. So my mom invited him and his parents to my birthday party. So at the end of my party, my friends left and him and his parents stayed. And my parents really didn't care if I drank alcohol, so we had like a whole bottle of vodka to ourselves. So we're in the basement and we're taking shots together. Well, I got him super drunk and he fell asleep. And while he was sleeping, I went on his phone and like for part 2.
So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, I don't remember her name. Can I please use the restroom? And she was like, no, you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester. Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now. My teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So like 5 minutes goes by and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing and she walks up to it and answers it and she's like, hello? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me like so angry and she like slams the pass on my desk and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do. Thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
You guys, this is the reason why I never wore big dresses to school. Let me set the scene for you. 4th grade Joe, 9 years old, super perky and happy to be wearing a giant dress to school. You know, I don't know why I was. Maybe we had just gotten it. I was super excited about it. It was like a Wednesday. I was probably like, Mom, I want to wear this dress. And since I was mainly tomboyish my entire life, she was probably like, yes, wear it. So I took it to school. So I took it to school. It made playtime a little complicated, but that's fine. Recess was fine. I was one of those kids who liked to roll around in the dirt, climb trees, all that jazz. And I'm like, it's just a dress. It'll be fine. So it's time for like nutrition class. I don't know. They're trying to teach us about like pyramids and like food groups. My teacher starts looking at me funny. And then she kind of just says to the entire class, Jozadak? And I'm like, is it Jozadak? Can you come with me outside for a second? I'm like, yeah, sure. 4th grade me just comes with her outside. And when we're outside, she closes the door. And I'm like, huh. She slowly takes off her shoe. I was like, oh, look for part 2.
Story time about how my boyfriend cheated on me with a 17-year-old girl. So when summer started, I started working at this new job. And I had a really good connection with one of my coworkers. And he was 28 years old. So we started talking. But I would get mad at him a lot because he would ignore my messages asking to hang out. And on top of that, every time that we got done with work, we would all go sit and eat and he would sit next to this one girl. And by the way, she was 17. And I could see them flirting all the time. Well, finally, once summer ended, she moved away. And then I felt like I had a real chance to start dating him. So we started hanging out a lot and hooking up a lot. After a few months, I started taking our relationship serious. Well, apparently not for him because there was this girl on his phone that he had been texting a lot. So weirdly enough, after that, I get a DM from the girl that he would always flirt with at work. And she asked me if I was dating him. And I said, yeah. And then she goes, oh, well, he's been texting me a lot. So then I blocked her and went and hooked up with one of his friends that night, like for part 2.
This is the story of the disappearance of Margaret Ellen Fox. And yes, the phone call at the end of the story is real. This is a picture of Margaret, and she had just graduated the 8th grade, and she decided that she wanted to get some babysitting gigs. This all takes place in the summer of 1974, and Margaret lived in Burlington, New Jersey. Margaret put out her phone number looking for these babysitting gigs, and on June 19th, this guy by the name of John Marshall called her asking for her to babysit his 5-year-old son. The job was in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and Margaret's parents were kind of weird about it because she was only in 8th grade and she'd be traveling to a different city. But she gave them John Marshall's phone number, so they were okay with it. John had some babysitting stuff set up for her on a weekend, but he postponed it 3 times. Eventually, he called her again and said this time it was for real and he would pick her up in a red Volkswagen. Margaret told her parents that she would call right when she got there, but no call. A few hours went by and still no call. And she was supposed to be home at 2:30, but then she didn't show up. And then hours went by and she still didn't show up. Part 2 coming now.
Plastic surgeries that went wrong, part 1. Sahar Taber was a beautiful girl. I mean, very beautiful. And she got famous in 2017 because she was kind of starting to change her looks crazy. Little by little. Some people were even calling her the ugly version of Angelina Jolie. Turns out that she wasn't even trying to look like Angelina Jolie. She was actually inspired by Emily from Corpse Bride. Do you like the before or after? And like this video if I should do a part 2.
To the guy that I dated in middle school who broke up with me and told me that my arms are too hairy. They're blonde, but they actually are like very hairy. I just want to let you know that not once have I shaved my arms, and that was so traumatic hearing that my arms were hairy, but I embrace them now, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for you. And now I purposely keep them hairy, and I never touch them or shave them to keep men away from me like you. Oh, and then let's not mention the fact that you also hit me up on Facebook trying to catch up and stuff. No, I hold grudges. Even though it happened in middle school, it's still whatever. Bye.
Story time. My parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, "You don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon." AKA, white people and black people should not be together. Sounds fucking stupid. Yeah, I know. Anyways, like I was saying, it was my freshman year of high school and I had been dating this boy for 2 months. And of course he was white. And we had to keep it super low-key because if any of my friends found out about it, they would have fucking told my dad. Now when I look back at it, those weren't good friends at all. Anyways, every Friday, my boyfriend and I would go to the movies. And we would go to this theater that was 45 minutes away because nobody that I knew would be there. The only person that knew that I was dating a white boy was my sister. Well, the one day after the movies, I couldn't get a ride home, so I had to get a ride home with him and his family. And as soon as I pulled up, my parents were waiting outside, like for part 2.
Story time. Okay, so one time I was on my TikTok and then I came across this beautiful fucking light skin, like, guys, he was like 6 feet tall, fucking gorgeous, okay? And then I creeped his TikTok and he was clearly over 18, so I was like, oh, okay, say less, time for Mama Sahara to make a move. So I followed him on Instagram. Before I could even say anything to this bitch, he followed me back and DM'd me, being like, add my snap. So of course I did it. And then we talked a little bit, but at the time I was really insecure. So the conversation was really fucking boring and we didn't talk for a bit. But then a month went on and I got a lot more fucking confident this time. And I was like, this boy's too cute for me to like not make another move. You know, like we gotta try this out again. So I DM'd him on Instagram because he posted a story of some shoes and we talked about the shoes. And then I was like, yo, what shoes do you think I should get? Because like guys love when you get their opinion on things and like let them take a little control of your life, you know? So I was like, what shoes do you think I should get? And then he recommended a pair of shoes to me and it just happened to be shoes that I actually wanted. So then I bought the shoes and then I'll take this into a part 2.
This girl sat on my thing in front of everybody. So she sat on my lap and then asked me if it was okay. Honestly, I just didn't know what to say. But she was already on my lap and let me tell you, her butt felt as good as it looked. When I said yes, she just smirked at me. Then we started the movie and everyone just like settled down. But that's when this girl asked for a blanket and said that it was cold. My thing was already rising and she could definitely tell, and then she put the blanket over us. But I knew she felt it because as soon as she put the blanket on us, she turned around and smiled. She kept scooting forward and I could feel that it was warm and stuff, but that's when she scooted back up and it was mega warm. That's when I noticed she had pulled her pants down just a little bit. She looked at me and then I looked at her and we were both in agreement. So I put it in. No one noticed anything and we were going pretty slow, but that's when she scooted forward and like kind of jerked and made the loudest noise ever. She was smart and covered up with a cough and nobody really knew, and that's the end of that. Like and follow for more stories.
So there's this lighthouse that you can see from my house, and my mom used to tell me a story about a woman who used to live there. No one lives in it now, but there used to be this young woman in her 20s who lived there like 30 years ago. Apparently she came from a really broken home. Her mom and sister died in a horrible car crash, and her dad was an abusive drug addict. So the harbor master let her live in the lighthouse and paid her a small salary for taking care of it. So she had been living there for a couple months, and that's when she noticed weird things starting to happen. Some of her belongings would occasionally go missing. Like one time she couldn't find her flashlight and she looked for it everywhere. And finally she found it under her bed, which was weird because she knew she had never put it there. But then weirder stuff started to happen.
When I was a little kid, my dad tried to publicly embarrass me, but he did not know he was raising a bad bitch. So one day I came home and I was having a real bad day at school and I was crying, I was. And my dad looked at me, he's like, you better stop that crying, that's girly. And what did I do? I kept crying. He looked at me, he's like, yeah, get out, we're going to the store. I'm like, why are we going to the store right now? What? He says, since you want to be girly by crying, we're going to go get you a dress. And you're going to walk around the store in that dress so everybody can see how girly you are. At first I was like, no, please, that's going to be so embarrassing, Dad, no. We still went to the store. My dad hands me this black dress and says, go in the fitting room and change into it. I put it on, I look into the mirror, and I was like, damn, bitch, I look good! I walked out of that damn fitting room strutting my shit. My dad was like, you're not embarrassed? I was like, why the hell am about to be embarrassed looking like this.
This sounds like a fake story, but I swear it's not. I was standing in public once, just standing, just by myself, and this girl comes up to me and she asks, "Oh, what happened to your hand?" Totally fair question. I tell her, "Oh, I was born with one hand." And then she asks, "Can you walk?" I'm just standing there like, "Yes, I can walk." She explained to me that she thought maybe like my balance would be off or something, so I wouldn't be... I don't know. I don't get it. People are crazy sometimes. They just ask ridiculous questions.
Not okay. Okay, so for context, every morning my dad makes me breakfast and he cuts up my fruit into ridiculously small pieces, and I never really questioned it. I'm just kind of like, okay, you know, if that's your vibe, you know, if you think I need to chew my food with like ridiculously small pieces, that's fine. Today I was making food for my dad and my mom looks at me and she's like, "Oh, cut his fruit up really small." And I'm like, "Why?" And she goes, "That's how he likes it and it makes him feel cared for." My dad every single morning is telling me he loves me by how small he cuts up my fruit. Every single morning. And I'm supposed to settle for what?
So, I think I fucked up really bad. So my mom made some brownies and put them in the freezer a couple days ago. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, frozen brownies, yum. And so I ended up having like 6 of those brownies. And I'm like standing in the kitchen and eating another one. And my sister comes up to me, she's like, "Dude, how many of those brownies did you have?" And I'm like, I don't know, you know, like, didn't want to fat shame myself. So I said like 4 pieces. And she's like, "Did you know mom made those into weed brownies?" And I'm like, "You're fucking lying right now. You're fucking lying right now." And she shows me. She like pulls out these. She's like, "This is what mom used in the brownies." And I'm like, I just had 6 of them. How fucked am I?